Magnificent scenery. These are the roads and the valleys that will carry the riders to the summit here for stage 15 of the 2005 Tour de France. Welcome again. This is our highlights program. Really good to have your company. This is an epic day. It's a real big day in the Pyrenees, and a big day for a couple of reasons, because of the nature of the course today, and also it's the real last chance for some of Lance Armstrong's rivals to make an impression on the yellow jersey. It's also a big day for Lance Armstrong because he will ride in honour of his former Italian teammate Fabio Casatelli, who died on these slopes 10 years to the day. Stage 15 keeps the peloton in the Pyrenees for the third and final mountaintop finish, and it's not so much the 205-kilometre distance that will hurt the riders, it's the 6 climbs on the course, the last being the Ors category mountaintop showdown on the Plat d'Aix. Armstrong is no stranger to this finish. It was in 2001 when he scored one of his best wins and looked to the heavens in honour of his former Italian teammate Fabio Casatelli. The attack started early in the day after the rollout. Australia's Alan Davis was in a group of 10 riders. The Queenslander collected the sprint points on offer on the flats as the roads headed high. The climbs over the Col du Porret d'Aspet was followed by the rise over the Col de Menté and the Col de Portillon. The time gap opened out to more than 19 minutes, yet no panic from Armstrong. The Tour leader maintaining a steady tempo, even with the minor misfortune of chief rival Ivan Basso, who suffered a tyre puncture but rejoined the main group. Here's Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwin.
This is Brad McGee, and in fact he's been dropped on most of the early climbs of the day, a man who we thought might have a possibility of finishing in the top 10 overall. But he's taken having a little bit of a joke there, I think, but the fact of the matter is he is certainly not the man who's finished high overall in races like the Giro d'Italia, and I think he's going to have a hard time getting himself, Phil, through this Pyrenean stage.
He says we're thinking today, and there he's got on his wrist the salute to Fabio Casatelli. Most of the riders have got something on their clothing today. Well, McEwen's done all this before, Paul. He's a wise man. He knows he can't climb. He knows just how much effort to make to survive the day, to live to fight another one.
It's important for riders like McEwen, Phil, not to try and hang on too much on these big mountain stages, because they've got to conserve energy to battle out the sprints on the flatter stages, but they've got to use enough energy on these mountain stages to make sure they don't get eliminated. We saw a former wearer of the yellow jersey in the Tour de France this year, Jens Voigt. He was eliminated for just 43 seconds. The judges are not very sentimental characters when it comes to applying the rules, like the elimination rule at the end of a very tough mountain stage.
That's what they said. They said they're impartial. They just read the regulation and apply it. They don't leave it to the journalists to write the romanticisms about the Tour de France.
Hincapie there looking very comfortable. Tactically, this is actually a very nice situation for Team Discovery Channel.
They're so brilliant, and it's Johan Brunel you have to thank. He is such a brilliant tactician, the manager of Team Discovery, and he's got Hincapie up there, and he could move him right up into the top 10 if this breakaway works.
Did you recognise that flag at the side of the road there, Phil? That was the South African national flag.
And
every
sadly,
nationality in the world here is actually supporting the race, and yes, sadly Robbie Hunter isn't here anymore.
No, poor Robbie Hunter dropped out a couple of days ago, and we expected something big of Robbie this year. Wasn't to be. He'll be back though to fight another day in the years ahead.
That's Alan Davis at the back in the dark blue, the Aussie sprinter. He's been fairly consistent on most of the flat stages here at the Tour de France. He's discovering what it's all about. And he's a man who was taken on board to Team Once a couple of years ago. They've developed him, watched him develop over the last couple of seasons. And here he is in the breakaway, which at the start of the day was 14 riders. Davis is participating in the Tour for his second time, as Karsten Kroon is riding for his 5th. There are not many riders left in this group. This is a major acceleration now coming from Carlos Sastre, the rider from Team CSC, and they're obviously trying to do something. And I think maybe not dislodge Lance Armstrong, but the man they're trying to get rid of is Michael Rasmussen, and there he is. He's comfortably in the group, as is Mancebo, as is Floyd Landis, as is Alexander Vinokourov. There is Levi Leipheimer, 5th overall. Cadel Evans is there as well, but if you look at the way these guys are suffering, that I think just moving up there as well is Chris Horner and his teammate Leonardo Pipoli, and just tagging on the back, number 9, is Paolo Salvadelli, Armstrong's teammate. If we just pull back here, Phil, you get a chance to see how far it is to go, and poor old Alan Davis must be thinking, what am I doing here?
Well, he's just taking it easy, saving strength for the 2 climbs still to come. We are hearing that, in fact, Jorgiatsk and Cadel Evans have just about rejoined the yellow jersey group of Armstrong. So that's been a bit of a struggle, but it might indicate they've slowed slightly for them to get on. Whatever's wrong with Cocchioli here, he's dropped back to have another word with the team manager, probably Roger Leger or Serge Boucherie. Over the top of the climb we go.
Somebody's gone over the top.
Yeah, I don't know who it is, I must confess right now. But somebody has just jumped away. Laurent Brochard, the missing man from the group here. He'll be the first over the top, being chased by Michael Bogart. And there he is, Laurent Brochard.
Well, Brochard knows this area. It's very close to where he got a stage win in the Tour de France in 1997 in Loudonvielle. He wasn't really, I don't think, going for the points there. I think he was hoping to open up an advantage and maybe take the advantage then of a very dangerous, precarious descent off the slope here of the Col de Peyresourde on the way down into the town of Loudonvielle. Yep, just 21 riders, and as they go over the summit, they're still looking at 43 kilometers to go to the finish. They've got a long descent down into the town of Loudonvielle, and then they start the penultimate climb of the day, the Col de Val-Louron-Azé. We're going to have a major sort out, I think, and yes, it is down to 11 minutes and 15 seconds, but you see the wind that is starting to get up on the summit of these climbs.
Yep.
And actually looking out from our finishing line commentary box, you can see that the wind is blustering into the riders' faces for the finishing straight. This man we're looking at here, Oscar Sevilla, they used to call him Babyface. He's such a young-looking rider. As we go to the front of the group and see that it's Oscar Pereira who is the most nervous in the group. I got a gut feeling that if this was to survive, the man who might win the day would be George Hincapie, and he's never won a stage in the Tour de France in his career. Well,
that would just be the icing on the cake, and this is clearly a plan too. If Lance Armstrong can't do it, then George must try his best shot. He's getting the easiest ride of the group. As the gap has gone out now, it's gone up by 45 seconds since they started the climb of the Val-Louron, so there is a little bit of a turnaround. They might take encouragement from that. Remember that when we get to the top of this mountain, we are only 23 kilometers, or about 14 miles to go. Bobby Julich, just latching on to the Armstrong group, has now been unlatched because he is getting dropped again. Rough day for Bobby today, and he's having a great Tour de France. Finished third in 1998 overall.
Cadel Evans is there. Look at Christophe Moreau, mouth open, gasping for breath. The psychological thing for these riders, Phil, is they know it's hard here, and all of them know how hard it's going to get.
If Cadel Evans has learned anything from his first Tour de France, it's how to hurt himself, because he has showed tremendous courage. It was also Chris Horner on his left shoulder there. Now we're looking from the helicopter. Boy, this is a select group of bike riders now.
Team Discovery Channel on the front. This time it's Jose Acevedo, the Portuguese rider from the squad, who's decided he wants to whip up the place. But here is Alexander Vinokourov. He's coming.
There'll be trouble now, because this man will lift the pace. He never knows when to say enough isn't enough is enough. Alessandro, he's the champion of Kazakhstan, by the way. He's looking over, just seeing, and I think it's an acceleration. This is going to cause, I think, a depletion of possibly Discovery Channel again.
Well, it's got rid of this man, number 12, Guerini. It's got rid of Francis Moreau, Christophe Moreau.
Guerini's gone.
Well, this is the pressure and the acceleration of T-Mobile. I wonder if he's trying to leapfrog over Andreas Kloden, his own teammate, who's about a minute and a half in front of him in the overall classification.
And that's the first of Discovery, or is it the second? That's Rubiera who's gone.
Chechu Rubiera, job done for the day, and we're not going to have very many riders left with this pace, Phil, at the top of this climb. Let's move further forward. That's Moreau.
You can tick them off now, because this is the move to try and reach the leaders. It had to come on this climb, because the last climb they will need to make the progress. Ulrich is poised and Armstrong is in the right position. And watch out Mancebo on the far right.
Chris Horner has gone. Discovery Channel have not quite lost all of their riders yet, because Jose Acevedo is still sitting on the back of this group, but only by the skin of his teeth.
The Col de Val-Louron is proving to be the decisive mountain on today's stage. This is Cadel Evans now. He's also unhitched. He's refound Moreau. They're going to try and work together. It's going to be tough to get back.
They have not got rid of the man who lies in second place in the overall classification. Acceleration now from Ivan Basso. Ulrich responds. So does Lance Armstrong.
There's somebody on the right here. I thought we saw Acevedo, but maybe I was wrong.
Now this is the acceleration from Ivan Basso, looking over to see what kind of damage. You can see Acevedo actually disappearing in the distance. His job done for the day. And in fact, there's a gap here. Ulrich cannot hold the pace of Ivan Basso, but he gets the big diesel engine going. Another kick from Basso. Armstrong must respond to this.
And he's gone round Ulrich, and I'm not sure Ulrich has the power. These are the big three of the Tour de France. And now it is Basso and Lance Armstrong, and Ulrich is struggling, but he's catching up.
This is almost an action replay of yesterday. The three big men. Here is Carsten Kroon. He's been caught. And look at Basso. He wants to win here in the Pyrenees this afternoon. He's got Armstrong right on his wheel. And Ulrich again, Phil, because of that big gear, the massive gear that the German turns over, he cannot respond to these accelerations of the men who can climb mountains fast.
Well, Basso is now trying to race himself into second place. This is Jaroslav Popovic. His job is done. He'll try to just stay in that white best rookie jersey now. This is the chaos on the climb of Val Thorens, and Michael Rasmussen, his second place is now in serious danger.
I think Jan Ulrich this year has got the best position he's ever had at the Tour de France. He's got the best condition. He's prepared, but the problem is he's had an awful lot of bad luck. Phil, he crashed the day before the prologue. He had a nasty crash on a descent on the road down into Mulhouse, but he has suffered through it. He hasn't complained at all about his accidents, and he's still the third strongest man in the Tour. Well, we're looking now at these riders, these 6 leaders who've been at the front of today's stage of the Tour de France since the 27th kilometre. They're inside of 500 metres to go to the summit, and they've still got a 9-minute advantage. Theoretically, on any other day, that should be enough, but I'm not sure that it is going to be enough here this afternoon, because I think we're going to see an immense pursuit up the slopes of the Plat d'Adet. Vinokourov has recovered. He's managed to get himself back into contact with Pipoli, Mancebo, Rasmussen. But Rasmussen here could be seeing his second place in the overall classification disappear. He started with a minute's advantage over Ivan Basso, and right now he's going to have to do something special. He's lost 35 seconds of that, but we've still got an unbelievably difficult climb to go to the summit of Les Ardennes, I should say Plat d'Adet. He knows about this area. He's raced and won here before in the past, 1997. He's looking to get himself points in the King of the Mountains classification, which he does. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue on the descent, because he's also one of the top descenders in the sport.